Good morning. It's very close to Easter time. I'm at the room of the Last Supper, which is for me much more than just a room. And what you can see here is the Dormition Church, according to the Catholic and actually the Orthodox as well. Mary fell asleep here and buried not so far away from here. She didn't die slash die, whatever you will think, because she was sinless according to them. Then it's next to the room of the Last Supper, which is at Mount Zion. The acoustic there is not so good. I hope that you will hear me. Sadly, except one tourist that is sitting here and reading the Bible. I didn't see any tourists today. Actually, I didn't see any tourists at all because it's kind of a wartime. And you can see the room itself, which is mostly from the 15th century. It's not really from the times of Jesus, but it's actually at the site um, of the, I think, the most important ceremony in Christianity. Dedicated that to each one of you, but as you can see, I'm blessing the Jerusalem cross, which is a unique cross to the Holy Land, to Mr. Theo family, actually Mr. Theo Johan and his family. I will talk about the room soon, but what I want to do, and this is new for me, I will try um, to read from the book of Matthew, and I will add things that maybe some of you don't know because it's actually a Jewish tradition. And are you ready for that? Then let's say goodbye to the cross. And I'll put it in my bag because I cannot hold the Bible and the gimbal together. But if you want to have your own cross or Bible, go into Buy Me a Coffee link at the description, the text beneath the video. You'll find the link for it. If not, you can actually write me a message. I will prepare a video for you in one of the places in Jerusalem. I will upload it to YouTube, and of course, you're going to get that cross to your home. Then I want you to meet someone here, and this is Marcus. Marcus is from Argentina, and he is, I think, the only pilgrim that I know that came specially for Easter to Israel. And then take a good look at him. He wasn't afraid. Together next to him is the cat of the room. That cat lives here, and she owns that place. If you will pet her, she will be very happy. If you will bring her food, she will love you even more. And now I'm trying to read, although it's a little bit dark here, the book of Matthew, and then I will try to explain you a little bit about the Jewish traditions here, because that was Passover according to the book of Matthew. Then it's, let's say, it's 26. Yeah. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the matzah bread, then here we are. We already know that this is the first day, at least the first day of Passover, because if not, you could eat bread. And you must be here as a Jew 3 times a year, because the only place to pray was at the Jewish temple. But if you wanted to be in Passover, then to be in the first day, it's the most important thing, because the sacrificial food, the sacrificial meal is only at the first day. And this is so important, and you can actually see that the disciples knew that too. Wait. The disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparation for you to eat the Passover?" Then Matthew talks to the Jewish community. How do I know it? Because the minute he wrote that sentence, every Jew knows that he must have a sacrifice, and then he must go to the Jewish temple to sacrifice it. And then he must go to a special place to cook the meal, because it must be kosher. It's already Passover. And what about finding a place for it? This is a problem. Think about a city of, let's say, 10,000 Jews. But because it's one of the most important festivals, then a lot of the Jews from all over the world will be here. How do we know it? Remember at the Via Dolorosa, Jesus met or will meet later on Simon from Libya. What a Jew from Libya is doing in the city? Now you know. He had to be here. Then in that case, for example, I think then he didn't actually mention the sacrifice because he knew that the Jews knows it. This is obvious. And I think the book of Mark, and we are looking at Mark, right here, the book of Mark mentioned the sacrifice. And let me see where I am. He replied, go into the city. Mark actually said, send two to the city. And he said then in Matthew, go into the city to a certain man and tell him, the teacher said, my appointment time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your home. Mark, at Mark, mentioned that they had to meet a guy who's carrying a bottle of water, a vase of water. Who is doing it? This is a women's duty to carry the water. Except if we are talking about the ECs from Qumran, a small community of men, and they must carry the water. Another thing that is important through Mark is that it's going to be at the upper room. And let me show you that we are at the upper room. I mean, you can see the street now, and I know that it sounds now much better. The acoustic is not so good but I hope that you can hear me because I think it's important for me to be inside the room. Another important thing is Passover is not only a family holiday. Passover is a friend's holiday, and that's why the disciples were with Jesus. And the family of Jesus, Mary, I don't know if Mary was with him at that time. Maybe she was in the city, but the Bible never mentioned Mary as part of the tradition. And please don't tell me that Dan Brown actually mentioned that Mary was there. Dan Brown is not the Bible. Then in that case, let me see where I am. So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them to prepare the Passover. And now we know to buy the meat, to sacrifice it, to cook it in a special oven. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12. Evening. Why it's supposed to be evening? A holiday in the Jewish tradition starts at evening time. Then in that case, now it's the first day of Passover. And let me see. Just a moment. And while they were eating, he said, truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me. This is a crisis. You know that Jesus has got so many enemies. The priests, the elders, and so many others. But to find or to know that there is a betrayer inside the 12, I mean, part of the 12, this is the biggest crisis ever. It's not the enemy. It's actually the best friends of his. This is a tragedy. Then you can understand the reaction of them. And the reaction will be, they were very sad and began to say to him, one after the other, surely you don't mean me, Lord. Pay attention to the word Lord. Jesus replied, The one who will has dipped his hands into the bowl with me will betray me. Can you imagine that they are looking at each other and they're trying to see who is dipping or will dip his hands into the bowl? The Son of Man, which is another name for Jesus, will go just as it is written about him. But whom that to that man who betrays the Son of Man, it would be better for him if he had no been born. Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Rabbi, he didn't mention Lord. In that matter, Rabbi, it's a very important thing, but this is not his Rabbi. He's going to betray him, and the word Rabbi will appear again at the book of Matthew later on. Guess where? When he will come to kiss him at Garden of Gethsemane. While they were, Jesus answered to Judas, "You have said so." While they were eating, again. Jesus took the bread, well, the matzah bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to the disciples. This is such an important issue. In Judaism, in every meal, just before the meal, especially on Shabbat and the holidays, every Jew is actually blessing the bread. At the time of the temple, it was a part of the priests. But later on, the Pharisees brought that called a mitzvah, a must, to every Jew. Then until today, when I'm going to a Jewish meal, the father breaks the bread before they eat prayers and give to each one of the people who dine with him to eat it. Jesus answered, no, that will be seen while they were, oh, let me repeat it. While they were eating, Judas took the bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to the disciples, saying, and this is so important, "Take and eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, for the forgiveness of sins. I'll tell you, I will drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." This is something very important. And this is the reason why that room for me, it's not only the Last Supper room. This is the first Mass. We are doing it in every church, every day. Then for me, it's the first Mass who held by whom? By the Lord himself. And that room for me, it's the first church ever. And this is the reason I see that room, or I think that that room is more important than almost every place or any other place in the world. Just for the information, we do have a problem with it as the Jew. The problem actually tells us, the Jew knows, hey, מה שלומך? Let me just say hello to him. All right, he's busy. Then in that case, this is the most important thing. What you see here is a Muslim family that visit that place as well. Then why Muslims are visiting that place? That's for later on. Then it is the first or the most important um, place for me in Jerusalem. But just for the information, the Jews first are praying, blessing the wine, and then they're blessing the bread. The book of Luke knows it. Then if you will read the book of Luke at the most important meal, you will see that first he will bless the wine, and then the bread, and then the wine again. Is that so important? I'm not sure, but it is part of their Jewish tradition. And when they sang the hymn, they went to the Mount of Olives. Until today, the Jews are singing and praying before the meal and after the meal of Passover. Usually, the meal ends around midnight. Then, in that case, you know um, that, I don't know about you, but when they reached Garden of Gethsemane, the three disciples fell asleep. First of all, they didn't understand the idea that he will die and resurrect after 3 days. Secondly, they were tired, really tired. When I'm visiting and when I'm going to the Passover meal with my friends, I'm just counting the minutes that I will be able to enter to my bed. And this is the room of the Last Supper according to Matthew. Later on, I'm not sure that's going to be next week. I will talk about. I will actually do the same thing with the book of Mark and with the book of John, which is a little bit different. What the Muslims family did here, for the Muslims, it is a mosque. At the 15th century, they occupied or they took that place from the Christians and turned it into a mosque. If you are looking at that place, it's called the mihrab, and the mihrab symbolized the way to Mecca. You can see two windows that were built by the Muslims for the mosque. Another important thing is that room. I don't know if you noticed that he actually pointed on it. In that room, there is a replica of King David's tomb. King David's tomb is beneath us at the ground floor. But the Muslims who occupied that place and took and turned it into a mosque as well, didn't let the Christians and the Jews to visit the original tomb of King David. Then once a year in Pentecost and in Shavuot, they let the Jews enter to there, and until today, you can visit the replica of the tomb of Jesus. You can see here an inscription in Arabic that said, "We took that place from the pagans," and actually by that they meant the Christians, and turned it into a holy place. That room serves Muslims groups and Jewish and Christian groups. Now, if you like that video, and I know that when I read it wasn't so fluent, mainly because it's a little bit dark here, but I think you got the message, and this is important. The next video that I will prepare will be about the room itself. If you like that video and it's your first video of mine, then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to support me because I'm not working, then you can do that. At the description, you will find two links for Buy Me Coffee and PayPal, or just like next to the like button, right there, you will see a shape of a heart button. This is super like, and you can actually do that via YouTube. It was Amazing to be with you, and happy Easter to every Christian in the world. And Marcos, say hi to everyone. Bye bye, Marcos. Bye bye.